Hello, it's Chris from ePianos here. Welcome to part one of our deep dive into this excellent companion app from Yamaha. It's called the Smart Pianist app. It's free to download onto your device, and it is a companion app for use with their up-to-date digital pianos and keyboards. And today I'm using it with a CSP 275, but it's compatible for loads of different instruments. We'll make sure there's a list in the description below this video. But we'll get right into it, shall we? And that is what we see when you first open the app. What you're looking at now is what I'm going to refer to as the home page, but it's also called Piano Room just there. And as you can see, there's a graphical illustration of the type of piano that I'm playing. In this case, it's a studio grand piano, but actually it'll probably default to this one, the Yamaha CFX Concert Grand. At the bottom of the screen it says CFX Grand, and this will in effect just tell you the instrument you currently have loaded. And beautiful sound. We're going to be having lots of fun with this and other sounds as well. But to change the sound very simply, because the app itself is in effect a portal into the contents of the piano. That's one of the differentiating factors between using this with different models of digital piano and keyboard from Yamaha. Because if you've got a P series, which is essentially the basic entry-level pianos, they have a limited selection of voices on them. And they don't have accompaniment styles, which we'll get into in later parts. But what's on the app is not significant, really, the bulk of it. What it's doing is it's allowing you to see into what's on your instrument natively and then control it, amongst other things as well, which we're going to get into. But starting with the home page here. What we have is the ability to just swipe, and I'm going to swipe to the right here and change from CFX Concert Grand to Bosendorfer, and that's a completely different set of samples of digital piano, and I'll play. And you can hear how beautiful and woody the Bosendorfer sounds. And switching again between these, we'll come to a different type of Yamaha piano, the Studio Grand. It's a bit brighter in its sounds. Okay, and all I'm doing here on the home string is I'm swiping to the right. We go in this case to concert upright piano, which again has a completely different character. Okay, but at its simplest, Piano Room is just giving us big pictures of the pianos that we're playing and the ability to switch quickly between them. But there are a few other things we can do on here as well, and I'm going to kind of talk you around the circumference of the app itself. So at the top it's saying Piano Room there, and as we go around to the right there's a little question mark icon, and if I press that, essentially what this is going to do is give you a little bit of help and guidance for any particular section you want to look at. So it will tell you that down here is the mixer, and that's the recording functionality. It's basically going to do my job for you. But there's loads more to it than just that. To the right of that are the Piano Room settings, which I want to get into in some detail. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit more about the simplicity and the ergonomics of this home screen, because at the top left here, you may have noticed it says no effect. And what is that all about? If I press that, something significant changes. If I keep going, see it says chamber, cathedral, concert hall. Now what this does is it essentially changes the EQ and the reverb settings, so I can very quickly say, well, I want to play as if I'm playing a CFX concert grand in a concert hall or indeed a cathedral. And when you've got it loaded up like this and you play, that's exactly what you hear. And you can hear in those reverb settings that it's quite a grand sound. And it continues and it echoes around that whole cathedral. Let's go to something like a concert hall where it won't be so pronounced. Okay, but one nice thing you can do, it's kind of nifty, is if you touch on the screen here to the top of the piano lid, you can do this, you can close it down. And of course what that does to the overall sound is it kind of muffles it a bit and really takes that trebly edge off of it. And there's kind of a halfway house as well. Or fully open again, which we get the full crispness of the sound. So you can really kind of customize it to your own settings in there. The options on the top right are what I want to look at now. It's an image of a piano and a couple of cogs, quite imaginatively, and if I press that, what this is going to show us now is down the left-hand side of the screen are the piano room settings, and what we have are things like lid position, which we've kind of already explored there, except we can do it manually here rather than on the graphical display. Brightness, essentially all of these settings are here so you can tweak and customize your own signature piano sounds, because how you want the thing to sound depends entirely on what you're performing, the mood that you're in, and what you want to convey to your audience. So we can do things like tweak the brightness and really take off, and I'm using the CFX Concert Grand as the default here, which is the default piano on all of Yamaha's digital pianos and keyboards. So if I use the slider here to go all the way to mellow and then play, let's go right up to the other extreme, up to bright. So you can see the big difference that it makes. And I'm gonna, for this particular setting, I might just leave it just below bright, although quite usefully, and a good tip all around here is if you double tap the slider, it will reset itself to the default settings. Now, I should mention at this point that I go through and make these changes to customize my own special type of piano sound, my own signature sound that's really me. After I've done that, I can save it onto the tablet itself, onto the app. So next time I plug the piano in, instead of just going back to the default settings, I can load up my special piano setting. The next one on the list is the touch curve on here. And this has real practical applications. If you're using your piano for lessons, for example, and you have let's say a young child coming to play the piano, their touch tends to be very timid on the keys. So you can actually change it, the touch curve, to soft number 2. It's quite an extreme setting here, but it means that the player does not have to hit the keys so hard to get to a certain volume. Now I'm playing there really just to, you have to feel it for yourself, because it's to do with the velocity of your fingers on the keys. But what I can tell you from my experience there is I'm barely having to touch the keys at all to get quite a volume out of it. Now, for me personally, because I'm quite heavy-handed in my playing, I like the keyboard's touch curve to compensate a little bit for me. So your one will probably be set to medium, or what does it term it as? Yeah, medium. But if I take mine all the way up to hard, what this means is I'll play hard, but I won't peak the sound, or I won't get to that threshold that most people will using the medium setting. But that allows me as a player to be a little rougher on the keys, and it kind of compensates for it. And what I can tell you is that I am finding indeed I can do little riffs and little flicks, and the piano's not sort of barking back at me. So we've got a good sort of agreement, me and the piano, if you will, that I can play hard and it won't react so much. Going on to the environment depth. Now this refers to any of the environments that you might recognize here from the main piano room page, but I can really crank up the degree of echo on here, and the depth they call it. So the cathedral initially sounded like this, but if I go and send this near to the top, we get this phenomenal reverb and echo. And what this does to your playing is it can inspire you, and that's why these settings are on here. Now, if I play light as a feather, we get a really ghostly, haunting sound. Okay, and again I can feel the creative juices going in me, because just adding that incredible reverb depth does that to you, and you can change it in your different types of background as well. But useful tip, double tap the top and the depth goes back to normal. So I'm going to keep it on concert hall, but I'm going to go to about a quarter of the way up. There we go, I'm kind of happy with that reverb depth. And master tuning, this again has a practical use here, because if you're accompanying an instrument that doesn't quite go up to correct concert pitch tuning, you can actually detune the whole piano slightly, as you can with traditional pianos, to have it fit the music. Or indeed, if you're playing with an old recording that uses old instruments, or it's recorded and the tape is slightly slower, you can adjust your digital instrument to fit it. I'm not going to make any changes to that right here though. Now the virtual resonance modeling, this is although not glamorous, is actually where you, as the owner of a Yamaha digital piano or keyboard, get real value for money, because the boffins over at Yamaha's research and development labs try to simulate the real experience of playing a 9-foot-long concert grand piano and get closer and closer with every incarnation that they create. Now, this effect essentially simulates the strings inside that huge cabinet of a grand piano and the way that they play off each other and resonate in harmony with each other, and cause the sound to swell about. This is all part of playing a grand piano and using it as an instrument, this big sound box, this acoustic sound box, and this simulates it. So if I were to turn it off, for example, the sound, and I might need to bring my reverb off as well to demonstrate this, the sound is very dry. It's not bad, but it does feel a little bit like I'm playing in a tiny soundproof room with a low ceiling. But if I go back now to the VRM and turn it on, and you see that on the app here, when I turned it on and off, the next 5 settings are turned on and off, because they are all sort of sub-settings of the VRM itself. But what I'm going to do here to demonstrate what VRM does is really turn everything up amplify it, to exaggerate it all, so you can get an idea of the effect that it has. Let's go into the first setting, which is damper resonance. And it sets a degree of the VRM effect when you press the damper pedals. All right, and I'm going to turn it up to near the top. And I don't know if you can hear that. I'm putting my foot on the pedal. Listen for this sound. Okay, I hope that comes through, but what I'm hearing is the actual recorded sound of someone doing that on a concert grand piano, and it's the simple withdrawal of the hammers from the the dampeners from the strings that is causing them all to slightly shimmer, and it's a bit of a ghostly sound, but it adds to, it's all part of the experience of playing a grand piano. So I'm going to keep that in there. That's the damper noise. You can turn it on or off. The string resonance, let's turn that up as well. And the duplex scale, really interesting that in a grand piano there are actually strings that aren't struck by a hammer on the top end, the treble end, the high end, and they are there simply to resonate in sympathy with the other strings, just to give a bit of resonance, an extra resonance at the top. So I'm going to turn that up, and the body resonance. Okay, now let's play a little bit, and you should be able to really hear that beautiful swelling sound that you get on a concert grand piano. Okay, it's like an audible soup, if you will, going around the whole body of this 9-foot long concert grand piano. And these effects I'm turning up, and it's kind of fun to do as well, because it really allows me to get the most of it, just draw out all of this richness and this huge swelling sound that's coming out. So I'm going to save those on there. The grand expression, this selects the type of grand expression modeling effects, simulates the physical sound transitions when you're playing. And when it's set to dynamic, you can control the subtle nuances in the performance by changing your strength. So again, this is being dynamic. Playing on a traditional concert grand piano, of course it's dynamic, and there's an infinite amount of variations in the sound, because it's you, a human being, with your own set of feelings and emotions, and whatever anger you're holding in that day or happiness you're holding in that day. It all varies subtly in an unlimited amount of degrees. And to simulate that, it's in the technology here. It's giving you as many palettes, as many shades of colour in your palette as an artist as you would want to be able to express yourself in your playing. Going on to half pedal point there, and this is just to adjust the area. Again, it gives you an idea of the depth that Yamaha's boffins go into to simulate the real experience of playing a piano. You can change the point where the damper actually takes effect, because one of the skills when you get in depth with playing a grand piano is you can subtly muffle or dampen the strings somewhat while you're playing, rather than dampen them completely. So it just gives you minute control. It's like a guitarist using a palm mute. You're not totally killing off the sound of the string vibrating, but you're doing it just slightly, and you can do that through a pedal. And finally, we've got the each key setting, which again, really opening up possibilities for you on this piano. And you can essentially change the tuning minutely of every single key individually on this piano here. And yeah, that it doesn't sound like it has a great deal of practical use. However, I find when I've really dug into this that if I just minutely do it with the odd key here and there, I can actually make a piano sound a little bit more lifelike, purely because it's not perfectly tuned. So for your average Joe player like me that might go and play a piano in a pub or wherever I'm playing a piano, it's likely not to be perfectly tuned. And that makes it sound more like a piano to me, because that's what I'm used to. And a digital piano will come perfectly tuned, but this allows you to just tweak it. And remember, we're making settings here that you are going to then save for next time you play it. So you can do something like that, craft it perfectly for your own ears, and then save it. Now, on the subject of saving settings, this piano that I've crafted now with those VRM settings and the touch curve, how I like it, if you've spent as much time as I have on that, or maybe even longer, how do you then save it for recall next time you turn the piano on? Because as you've probably discovered by now, turn your piano on and off, or your keyboard on and off, it'll reset to its default settings. But on the app, on the home page, down on the bottom left there, the symbol that's got the drum, the keys, and the little musical notes there, if I press that, it brings up this setting just here called registration memory. And if I press save current setting, it will effectively save everything I've programmed into the app so that I can recall it next time. Okay, and what I'm going to call it is, let's call it Piano Perfection. I wonder if I can put an emoji in there as well. There we go. Piano Perfection. Come on. There it is. Okay, so that for me is my perfect piano, and I've saved it into the settings in there, and every time I touch it on the screen it loads up just like that. That's lovely, I can hear it resonating around. So that for me is my favourite piano. Question for you at this point might be, well, okay, Chris, how do I get it back to how it was? Quite usefully, on the top left, you see where those 4 squares are here? This is where you'd normally navigate to the other sections of this app that we're going to explore a little bit in future episodes. But if I press that, there's a picture here on the bottom left of it says CFX Grand and then kind of a circle with an arrow around it. If we press that, it resets, voice has been reset to CFX Concert Grand. Okay, so it'll go back to exactly how it was with all of its settings in there as well. But remember, if I want to recall Piano Perfection, I can do it just there at any time. So we've recorded, or rather we've created this lovely piano sound called Piano Perfection. How do we record ourselves playing? There's a really nice, very quick and simple recording functionality on this Piano Room homepage. Down at the bottom left, where there's a symbol, a red symbol, the recording button. If we press that, and then we go to MIDI on the right, I recommend doing this for simplicity's sake, and press New Song. Then press the record button. Essentially, I can just start playing and it will record me. Okay, and when I've finished my performance, it's now flashing at the bottom left and it's a stop button. You press that and it will ask you, do you want to save it? Are you happy? You can even play it back by pressing this. give the song a name, and I'm going to call this AKG Piano Perfection 1, and then press save. Now what this will do is save this song natively to the app, and if I want to play it back, I can go up to the symbol on the top left hand side of the screen, then go to the song section on the top right, and it will already be loaded in there, and it gives you some rudimentary notation, and I can play it back here too. Okay, now what you may not be able to see at the moment, but CSP clavinet over players will see, is that we're actually getting the LED streamlights playing back what I've recorded there as well. So for piano lessons using those instruments, it's fabulous. And it's showing me the notation in there because I've recorded in MIDI format as well. And I can even do things like have it play a certain section back for repetition and learning, change the volume, the tempo, etc., etc. But those are all things that we're going to go into in later videos. Because I just wanted to start off by showing the piano room settings itself. Finally, there's a metronome built in, another very practical thing, of course, that you'd have with a traditional piano. Back in the day, it would be this funny triangle looking thing that will sit on top of the piano and go tick, 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 and there was an actual lever that you had to start moving. But we have a metronome just here, look, and we can press that, and it'll give you a basic 4/4 beat to start with, to play along with. You can even tap the tempo on the screen as well to set your own tempo, and there's the ability to put on a bell as well. So instead of this 1, 2, 3, 4, we can have a bell on there, and this will put a bell sound at the beginning of each bar. So very practical to have that metronome built into the home page as well. So that is it. That's the first video in this series. Coming up next is going to be all about the deeper voice selection, how you can do layers, how you can do panning, and get a really nice mix of dual voices, 2 at the top, 1 on the left hand side, and an explanation of what you get for each model as well, and what to look out for. But that's it for part 1. If that's useful to you, all this video, then just press the thumbs up below the video if you will, because that really helps an independent shop like us get found here on YouTube. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.